AC Lockyer, and this is Building a Lifestyle Business, sponsored by Softwash Systems. And as always, what we're trying to do here is just introduce you guys to some of the licensed affiliates with Softwash Systems. Not so much to make this a Softwash Systems infomercial. It's just really, really cool because these are people that decided to become entrepreneurs, or in Garrett's case, kind of born into it. But they wanted to be able to have the freedom of owning their own business. And they just so have happened to chosen Softwash Systems to do that. But there's a lot of other backstory to that. So I'm going to introduce you guys. This is Garrett Bosqui. And hey, Garrett, tell us where you're from, what the name of your company is, and give us the lowdown on Garrett and his family and some biographical kind of information.
Yeah, totally, man. So happy to be here. My name is Garrett Bosqui. As he said, I own a company called Maverick Softwash here in St. Louis, Missouri. We started that company back in 2015. Mm-hmm. I do have my wife, Allison. We have one son together, Jackson. Mm-hmm. He's an only child. And he's spoiled rotten, but he's a big avid hockey player, loves to play ice hockey. He's actually getting really interested now in golf. I actually have a match that I got to show up to after we're done with this podcast.
Wow.
But soft washing. I like you just said, I was born into this industry. And people laugh, how did you get, I always love that question because it's how'd you get into this business? And it's like, well, I kind of came to this world and was in this business. Like my dad started a fleet cleaning company back in 79. I was born in 84. You do the math. But yeah, I mean, pressure washing, soft washing, just cleaning in general is just kind of in my blood.
So don't glance over the whole fleet cleaning thing because people don't necessarily know what that is. Describe that industry just a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll even go a little further than that because, the way my dad even got into that business was he was a salesman. Mm-hmm. And he sold everything from medical supplies to pots and pans and you name it. He was a door-to-door salesman, traveling salesman. And a lot like me, he couldn't get along with people. He couldn't work for other people. And he actually went to a franchise show here in St. Louis and found a company called Wash on Wheels. And he kind of looked it over and they were running everything out of hands.
You know where Wash on Wheels national headquarters was?
Orlando, Florida.
Sanford, Florida. Yep.
So he saw that franchise, but they were running out of little 1-ton vans.
Yeah.
And so, being the person he was, he started doing some research on like, what are the big guys in town doing? Well, we were all running around, but they were running around 20-foot, 18 to 20-foot box trucks. With much bigger water tanks. But long story short, he actually did very similar to what I did with you. Mm-hmm. And he reached out to some of the people that were doing what he wanted to do in the industry here in town and got them to help him get in the business. Mm-hmm. And, fleet washing, truck washing, it was a mobile operation. We went to where the customers parked their trucks. We went to their lots. We had 1,000 to 1,500 gallon water tanks, big diesel powered units that we built ourselves. And we washed hundreds, if not thousands of trucks a week right where they were parked. Wow. And we were fully mobile. And we ran that business, as you know, up until last year. And we ended up selling that company in March of 2023 and was able to retire Frank and get him doing the things that he loves to do, which is playing golf as many days as he can. And so, we were able to sell that business and move on. And so now we just have Maverick. I'm not the master of many anymore. And that really was able to offload some stress and get us to where we are today.
Yeah. And so, so fleet washing is you're running around washing fleets of trucks, 18-wheelers, box trucks, for companies that, they just can't take those trucks down to the local bubble brush. They need somebody who can come and keep those clean. So it's the appearance of their companies and the maintenance of the vehicles is important. Yep. And so your dad did that. You got born in that business. You mentioned in 1984. You were born into the business and did that, family business style. You worked in that business. You are like me. We share something in common. We both went to college for a wee little bit time.
6 months.
Well, I beat you. I was there for 18 months, but still same theme.
Yeah.
And so you met
I had
Allison
a
there.
really good time.
Yeah. And so tell us about that, going to college and that experience.
Yeah. So, I never really wanted to go to college.
Mhm.
And, my dad was like, no, you're going to college.
Right.
You don't, my dad didn't want me to stay in the business. He
Right.
wanted me to go out, get a degree, maybe follow a little bit more in my sister's footsteps of, hey, go into the IT field, get a job, build a life. And I had it in my head from a young age that I wanted to own the company. I wanted to take it over, and I wanted to live the same lifestyle that my father, that we did.
Mhm.
I mean, I have to say, growing up, I probably started working for my dad around age 12, 13,
Okay.
somewhere
Yes.
in there.
Yeah.
When I was that young, I would only work with him. I'd rinse behind him, or, things like that, help him pull hoses.
Mhm.
And it wasn't probably till I hit about 15 or so that I started working with one of his lead guys. And then, before you know it, you're in high school and you're running trucks. And, I mean, I was probably, you're supposed to be 18 to drive a truck, but hell, back in the 90s and whatnot, I mean, we had a lot of drunks and a lot of people working for us. I mean, it was not the greatest of things. So, I mean, I'm 16 years old driving 20-foot box trucks, manual transmission box trucks, because the guy that I'm supposed to be working with is passed out in the passenger seat. But it was fun though. But no, but he built, Frank built a business with our fleet. Bosqui's Mobile Cleaning was the name of the company. And he built a business to support his lifestyle.
Mhm.
And Frank's lifestyle, and he'll tell you to this day, he built it to play. He
Wow.
wanted to have enough money to take care of the family. We never wanted for anything.
Mhm.
He bought a brand new truck every year. He played golf as often or as little as he wanted. And, he built a business to sustain his lifestyle. Well, I grew up in that lifestyle. I
Mhm.
saw the new vehicles. I saw that we could go to Disney as often as we wanted. We could go on 2-week trips. In the business, one thing that Frank always said to me that stuck with me to this day, that I even still kind of operate my business with, and I've done a lot with, going overseas to help you train, the guys in the UK, which was
Right.
an amazing trip. And I never thought that I'd end up in Europe to clean roofs, but it was an amazing trip. But, Frank always used to tell me, and I still run my business this way, like there's nothing they can break in a week or two that I can't fix when I get back.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I always kind of ran my business. I would travel down to Sanford and do Discover Softwashes, sales boot camps, Top Guns, go to Europe with you. But there's nothing that they can break that I can't fix when I get back. And so, I always wanted that. So I went to college. I'm kind of the long way around to get that back there, but I went to college, didn't want to go there.
Right.
But went ahead and, my dad said, you're going. So I went to Missouri State in Springfield, Missouri. And, it's where I ended up meeting my wife.
Mhm.
But I was literally there for 1 semester. And Frank got my report card at the end of that semester and said, well, son, you got 2 choices. He goes, you can get a loan and pay for school yourself, or you can come home. And my response, I'll see you in 3.5 hours. I packed up my dorm room and came home.
Yeah.
And, then I played with community college a little bit because he kept pushing and kept pushing. And then finally, it actually, and I don't know if you know this or not, but it actually took his lead guy, Bill, dying of a heart attack. Bill was a big guy, nice guy, great guy,
Right.
but
Right.
he actually had a massive heart attack in his sleep. And it really took that to get me to a point where I wasn't just on a truck cleaning trucks, and kind of moved me more into a management role and started trying to build that business.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what took us to that. And I ran that, for a lot of years, and it was a successful company. It was a good company. It had its issues toward the end. But a lot of it is not necessarily because there was a problem with the business.
Right.
There was a lot of friction with Frank and I. That, happy to say now is like him and I are better than ever, which is great. I got my dad back, I like to say.
It took us a long time to work that knot out.
It took a very long time. And it's unfortunate because, hindsight's 2020, but, you know, if I would have known now what I knew, or if I would have known then what I know now,
Mm-hmm.
I could have fixed all the problems.
Sure.
And I've been on this, and this because we talk all the time, but I've been on this bettering myself and trying to do all that. And it's like, man, if I'd have done that 20 years ago, even 10 years ago,
right,
that business probably would be triple what it is now, or what it was when we sold it, And so there's some things, there's some things on his side, there's some things on my side that could have been fixed.
Well, they say it takes two to tango,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that was a great business, and it's struggling a little bit now. I actually just talked to Nick the other day, and it's struggling a little bit over there. Mm-hmm. But I don't have to worry about it anymore. So
that's right. You sold it to a large conglomerate in the United States that specializes in fleet washing, and so it's their responsibility now.
It's theirs, and you know what? They're making their bed. They better sleep in it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is. People just don't really realize to own a business, you got to be a bit of a force of nature, and your dad was that. And like you said, when his lead guy had the heart attack, and I have heard that story before, when he had the heart attack, he saw that person that was his buffer between him and the company disappeared, and he moved you, and you were a willing accomplice. He moved you into that position, and you became the buffer between him and the business, and you put yourself in that position. And it's just a little bit of a lesson and a testament as to things that fathers and sons have to watch out for when they do business together. And it's not that it's not possible or that it is impossible. It's just you really have to go into it with your eyes wide open and understand the position you're putting yourself in. And it can be very, very tough and discouraging. And I think that was part of your, some of the, you're talking about bettering yourself and everything else, some of the things you could have changed and all. You were put in a tough position, and you ended up, we all do things to compensate in our lives. And, whether it be acting out or, alcohol or drugs or, or being an SOB or whatever it is, there's things that we all do that are outflows of decisions that we do. And then we try to cope with those decisions, and then we try to manage the pain. And that gets to be rough. And when you're at odds with your dad, it sucks. And, I came into, Maverick started in 2015, but you came to the very, very first Softwash-a-Palooza that we had in 2011. So I've known you since 2011, which is now, 13 years now?
Yep. Well, we actually met before then. What was it, 2009 or 10 down? We were at an event in Tampa.
Yes.
Yeah. And you met Frank and I. That's where we met you and Karen.
Yeah.
And then, I ended up at the very first Palooza. But you know what? I mean, that delayed the start of our relationship and me getting Maverick going because, of course, and not to beat my dad up, but, we delayed that starting process because he said, well, you can build that yourself. You don't need that. Like, build a piece of equipment and go out and sell it.
Right.
And so I did, but I was still cleaning trucks, and it didn't go anywhere. And I mean, that kind of takes it back around to how Maverick got started. Because you had made, I came to the very first one, got certified, learned everything. Mm-hmm. I remember having dinner at your house, and it was a whole thing. And then I disappeared for, 4 years. And you called me in 2015 and said, hey, some things have changed, hope you're doing well, but you've got some things on your website. Like, I need you to pull it down. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay. But social media started picking up, and I'm like, but I'm watching what you're doing, man. Like, we got to have a conversation.
Yes.
And so we did. And 4 months later, Maverick was born. And so that was a huge thing. And I love that story because it's so powerful that, when we started Maverick, we created it, you and I mean, mainly you, but sitting at dinner, at Rookies and just
Right.
making fun of my wife that she had never seen Maverick or never in Top Gun Maverick. Well, I guess the new one's called Maverick.
Yeah.
But she had never seen Top Gun. And then it was like that. And you're like, Maverick, like, that's it. That's your name. And I'm over here going, huh?
And it was also too, you were, one of the things you're looking for is you were looking for a St. Louis kind of theme without being the arches, the arch. And
we didn't
so many
want
people
that.
do the arch or they do the river, and you were like, this is where Lewis and Clark took off. This is where the beginning of the West happened and the Western expansion. And then you also too, you mentioned that your dad, he loved all the nickel Westerns and all the Western TV shows from the 60s. And one of his favorites was Maverick. And I went, oh, well, between Top Gun and your dad's, one of his favorite Westerns being Maverick, we should call it Maverick because then we can go with the sheriff star and a bit of a Western theme and that Western expansion. And it gave you a St. Louis heritage without having the arch in your logo, which everyone
because it's overdone. I mean,
overdone.
You can't drive around St. Louis without somebody having arches in their logo.
Right.
And it's getting overplayed. And I never wanted that. And but I mean, we created that in 4 days.
Yeah.
And and then Maverick was born.
So, you were talking about, nobody asks people, why did you want to become an entrepreneur and how'd you get into the cleaning business? And you're just born into it. The general answer here is born into it. Yeah. But you mentioned that because of social media and all, you were watching Softwash Systems and you realized, something unique was happening here. And when I called you up on the phone to say, hey, you can't use this logo that way and that logo that way. We've changed our program a little bit. And, if you're going to continue with us, you have to, step up on your certifications and your commitment level if you're still going to use the co-branding and all, or you need to take it all down. He said, well, funny you call. I've been watching you and I'm actually, I think I really want to dig into this. Why did you want to dig into this? What was attractive about Softwash Systems 10 years ago at this point?
Well, number one, to answer the first question, I wanted to do something on my own.
Right.
At that point in 2015, I wanted to just separate from the fleet wash side. I was getting burned out and I wanted to go do something different, but I didn't know what else to do. I had tried other businesses on my own. My dad helped me put money behind them. They failed. And so with Softwash Systems, even 10 years ago, the thing that I loved about it was, number one, it's in the name, was the systems. You had all the training, you had the manuals, you had the classroom, you had the education side that we could help train the employees. You had the equipment. The equipment was top notch. And I mean, it's only gotten better today. And, but you had the equipment, you had the chemicals, the support was there. It was a franchise without being a franchise.
Yes.
And so I was able to still, now granted back then, I never even would have thought Maverick would exist. Like I figured it'd be another division of Bosqui's.
Right.
And, and it was crazy because even owners of some of the biggest trucking companies that we had was like, you're insane to leave that name. Everybody knows you by that.
Right.
And I said, but I'm going to go do my own thing. And so that's what we did. But that's probably what drew me to you and to Softwash Systems more than anything was I wanted to be my own thing. I wanted to do my own thing, but I wanted education. I wanted support. I wanted equipment, systems. I didn't want to be out in the old shop at my dad's, building my own stuff, even though I built tons of pressure washing rigs over the years. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to come to you and say, I want that. How much? Put it in my truck and go. And that was probably the other big thing is I didn't want to be running around in box trucks. I didn't want trailers. So it was a skid mount unit that we could put in my personal truck and I could go to work. And so that's what we ended up doing. And I mean, I've been there ever since.
Have you been looking for an investor grade home service business opportunity? Softwash Systems is what you've been looking for. Come to Discover Softwash and discover your potential. Learn how we provide you with the equipment, chemicals, education, and support for your soft washing business. For more information about becoming a licensed affiliate, call our Shield support agents at 855-763-8669 or visit our website www.softwashsystems.com/discover. Join the revolution. Join Softwash Systems.
Yeah, so you have been around for a long time. You've seen a lot of changes and you've seen things evolve. And we are a completely different company now than we were even 10 years ago when you started Maverick.
Yep.
But it's really because we grow and we evolve, and we're trying to find our way too, and trying to serve our licensed affiliates better. We're not just a product line. We're really trying to help people go into business and support them succeeding in business. And that's been an up and down trip for you too as well. Talk about your winding road that you've gone down.
Well, I remember when I got in, I felt like you fast tracked me.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I loved every second of it. But, it went from, I started traveling down to you to teach Discover Soft Washes. Then I would come down and teach sales boot camps. Then we were having sales boot camps at my shop.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got put on as pro staff. We started the pro staff program. And we were doing our pro cards, and we were having people come to us, or we were going to them, and we were kind of doing a little bit of a training, but more of a do you know what you're doing?
Right.
Are you authorized to be in this business? Then I moved up to board of directors, and I served on the board for several years.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so then I was Top Gun, and I did tons of Top Guns. I've been to the United Kingdom, to Amsterdam. I mean, I've been all over the world with you at this point. And, we've grown very close, and I've loved every second of it, but it's also been a whirlwind with the company.
Mm-hmm.
I push back a lot on what I want, what I don't want,
right.
My business never grew as much as it did when I was in your CEO program. We talk about that when I had you one-on-one coaching me, and then Softwash Systems grew. So we separated, and, and I started kind of doing my own thing, and I'd hire sales reps when really I needed to be selling. And you'd tell me, you're going to do this, but you're not going to like it.
It's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And it did. And, but I think all of that windy road, when we started Maverick, I was going through a divorce that I was desperately trying to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And I just ignored. And I didn't ignore her, but I ignored the fact that it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but, it was honestly
denial.
It was. Very much so, to the point that I wouldn't speak to her lawyers. I didn't hire a lawyer. This ain't happening. If I just ignore it, it'll go away. But the plus side is when I started working with you, is it gave me something to dive into, and I went hard in that first 2 years and grew pretty quickly. And then I kind of tapered off. And so, I mean, that windy road of I grow, and then it's like, I let off the gas, and I come back down, and then I grow, and then I let off the gas. And so, that can be a real big up and down, just because of, you make a bad decision, and, and it hurts. And then,
right.
Maybe it hurt too much, and you're scared to make that decision again. Or something that I've learned here just recently is, and I've been going all in on, is fail fast, fail often, and fail forward.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. And I think it was Dan Kennedy, I heard it from Latimer here recently, but I think it was Dan Kennedy that actually said it, but it was just, and I've been going all in on that. Of I'm going to try stuff. If it fails, I don't care. Call me a failure. I don't care. I want to fail as fast as I can so I can learn and move on.
Yeah.
And try the next thing.
And the fact of the matter is that, you've got 20% of the people, it's the what I call the 20-60-20 rule. You got 20% of the people that fail, 20% of the people are wildly successful, and then you've got that 60% in the middle that are just stuck in being mediocre and just kind of drifting through life. And I would rather fail fantastically and figure out how not to do it than drift in the sea of being mediocre, not ever figuring out how to succeed, just kind of bumping up and maybe kind of being successful, never really being successful. At least if you fail, you can rush right to the polar opposite and do the opposite thing and find success. The whole story behind that is you find success quicker by failing faster and pushing the envelope and pushing to the limits and finding out where the edges are as quick as you possibly can.
Yeah. And I've been going all in on that. And, does it leave some lumps? Does it leave some bruises? Sure. Yeah. But, you dust yourself off, you get up and you just say, okay, what's the next thing?
That's right.
And, and I've done that a lot over the years. And, from hiring to, making good hires, we hired Adam back in the day to run the operations. I mean, that was probably one of the best hires we made.
Because you were very, very deliberate. You're very deliberate about it. And you went through a process and you made it happen. And and it worked out really well for you for a long time.
It did. And, but sometimes you take a step back. We hired another gentleman and brought him in, and it worked, but it wasn't quite the right fit. So we've kind of stepped back. Now I've got Kaylee that's doing what he did and more, and is just absolutely killing it and is a rock star. And, so you learn, but, it was a windy road, coming out of the divorce and, but I said I was going to get her back. I gave myself 18 months. I got her back. When a 4-year-old looks at you and says, Dad, get her back, like that hits you, man. That hurts, and it's like, man, I kind of need to rethink life here. So I have, and we did. And, now we're good. We're growing. We've got 3 brand new trucks. Well, 2, because Dipstick wrecked one, but, I'll be nice and just call them Dipstick, but, we've got 3 skids, the 6X skids are fantastic. We get so much work done. Just to use that as an example, we're knocking out $2,500 to $3,000 days, and these guys are home by 2:00.
Yeah. That 2:00 is a reoccurring theme. It's funny. I was just doing a podcast with Matt up in Matt Warria. I probably butchered his name, but he's in basically Boston, Massachusetts area with Purple Dragon Softwash. And he was just saying, when I was a carpet cleaner, man, I was working 6, 7, 8 o'clock every night, and now I'm, doing $3,000 to $4,000 days, and I'm home by 2:00 in the afternoon, 3:00 in the afternoon. And that 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon it's like, it really happens.
Yeah. It actually turns into, when you look down at your watch and the guys are walking in at 5 and you're going, did something happen today? Like, what was the problem?
Yeah. What was wrong?
And typically it is, we had a pump go down, or, right. We had a lot of burnt, whatever. They had something. Typically there was something. And, so it is the equipment now is just so efficient, and you can just knock so much stuff out in such a timely manner. It also helps. I was just having this conversation with someone else the other day on the apartment side, and it might have even been Ted. I think it was Ted. We were talking, you guys are cleaning some apartments right now, a bunch of roofs. And I was just telling him how efficient my guys are at apartments.
Right.
But there is a but there. Eric's been with me 6 years. Anthony's been with me 4 to 5 years. I've got long-term lead techs that know what the heck they're doing.
Right.
And it plays a huge role and a factor in getting that work done so efficiently. Anthony right now is billing out at over $500 an hour. And, Eric should be, but Eric's assistant tech is also in the Marine Reserves. So he's gone a lot because he's got to do his weeks where he's doing the reserve thing. And then twice a year, he's got to do like 2 or 3 weeks. So Eric's by himself a lot. And so Eric's numbers are like 380. but like still, am I going to cry over
380 is still
$380 an hour?
Yeah.
But it's sad, AC, because I mean, that number, I remember back 10 years ago, talking about 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were happy with, what was it, like 200, 250 an hour?
Yeah. Yeah.
$1,500 days.
We
were like
$200 an hour, 8-hour day was a $1,600 day. Yeah.
And we were tickled to death with that.
Oh, yeah. And everybody in the industry was scoffing at us and going, I can't even get $750 a day. Like the best people in the industry are doing 900 a day. And we're like going, we're doing $1,600 a day. And that has become the norm now. Now, if you say $1,600 a day, people are like, they scoff at you and go, I can't believe you're doing so little. I'm doing $3,000 a day. And we were the first people to actually come in and speak into existence the capacity model and the $1,500 to $1,600 days and coming up with an hourly rate and not measuring every little square foot and going that way, just booking that truck. And it's just amazing how far we've come. The pro forma now for Softwash systems, we advertise $350 an hour, but there are many, many, many people around this country that are getting the $500 an hour, especially wherever you're at. I mean, here in Florida, if I get $250 an hour on a 2,000 hour, because we can work almost all the way through the year here. If I truck 2,000 hours at $250 an hour, it's a $500,000 truck.
Sure.
To get $500,000 in 9 months, you have to do closer to $350 to $400 an hour for sure. 500 doesn't hurt.
Right. Well, and that truck does mainly all commercial. And so that's going to raise that number too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because we how it is. We go after a lot of apartments, a lot of commercial, quoting tons of churches, but just going after some of that bigger stuff. But I mean, you're exactly right though, because we just I don't do high rise, but we just got asked to bid one. And I literally looked at it and was just like, how many days? I brought my 2 guys that clean windows in and said, how many days is this going to take you? 8 days. Okay. $2,500 a day, 8 days. There's your bid. And we won it.
Yeah.
And I was just, I didn't care if we got it or we didn't, because it's not really something we do.
Isn't it interesting? It's the ones you don't care if you get or not are the ones you get.
Yeah, right. At least you should
have that laissez-faire attitude and just throw prices at things and
be like Greg Badger.
Screw it if I get it or not. If I don't get it for a good amount, I don't want it. And just have that cocky, suave kind of attitude, because it seems like people buy with that. If you really want it, you're bated breath waiting for it to come in, and you're really crunching your numbers to give the best price. Those are always the ones you lose.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true on residential too.
Yeah.
When you stick to your guns, we just had one the other day, and I don't really get involved in our residential sales much, but we had somebody email in. Mike was at a funeral, so I answered it for him. And it was, well, you're 50% more than the other company. And I just went on the value add. I'm like, yeah, but we're background checked. We're doing XYZ service. Are they doing final wash?
Right.
I doubt it. Well, can you give me a bigger discount? No, I can remove something. You want to take something off to bring it down.
When they told you you're 50% more, you should have went, oh crap, we're always 75. I should have charged you more. And then, well, crap, I need to shut up or else I'm going to be charging more. They're going to charge me more.
Ticket's about to double. You were at $1,500. Now it's $3,000.
That's right. That's $3,000. I'm sorry. We misquoted. Yeah.
But the sad thing is I just told her what it was, and I started talking about the seal and, and insurance and how much it's went up. I mean, I don't know about you. My insurance right now for 3 trucks and 3 sales vehicles, I mean, it came out today. It's $2,800 a month.
Yeah.
For insurance, and I'm like, good gravy. Rent's $3,100 a month. Everything.
No. Our service trucks. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Our service trucks right now are $2,800 every 6 months. Our service trucks are almost $6,000 a year now. Our sales trucks are not far behind that. Our liability insurance doubled this year. Our insurance bill right now is I mean, it's, with our airs and emissions insurance and all the little things that we have to do commercial work and all that kind of stuff. It's darn near $8,000 a month just for insurance.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
And, and so you try to compete, but you got to keep your prices high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to pay people. People need to make a living. They need to make a livable wage.
Oh yeah. Lead techs now. Lead techs, they've got to make at least $50,000 a year. If not, Amazon's going to swipe them up and drive in an Amazon truck. You know,
and I mean,
it's tough work. They probably should make, honestly, if we could afford it, if we could get our prices up, if our customers would pay the rate, I would love to pay our lead tech $75,000 a year.
All day long.
All day long. Because it's a hard job.
It is. And, you're out in the, especially once you hit June, July, August, you're out in this heat. It's 100 degrees outside. That heat's rolling off the roof. We don't walk very many of them anymore, but I mean, you're out in those elements wearing bleach all day. It's tough.
Yeah.
But I try to pay my guys really well, but, talking about how to keep people is, it's like, I think you're doing the same thing, but I mean, we went to 4-day work weeks,
right?
Work Monday to Thursday, take a 3-day weekend, and, they love it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know you do this, and I normally don't do this, but I was just talking to my office, Kaylee, and I said, I was like, what do you think the guys would think about? I said, 4th of July falls on like a Thursday. I go, what do you think about just closing down for the whole week? I said, we don't have a ton of work going on. The work we do, we could move. And I said, I wouldn't mind a little vacation. And I said, what do you think about just closing the office? And I don't know that the company could afford to pay everybody out 40 hours. I said, but we might be able to pay out everybody 20 hours, and just enjoy the week, because they're going to want Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off anyway.
Really? Yes. Yeah.
And so, I ran it by my couple of leads, and, I mean, so far everybody's like, yeah, let's do that. Like, we'll go camping. And I'm like, okay, like, well, let's talk about that. But it's just, what can you do, to encourage people to want to work here?
Right.
Because it is so hard to compete on just salary alone. And, I mean, when we've gone to paying these guys as much as we can, and it's still not enough, And I mean, even on the sales side, we went to straight commission on sales, and it's hard to find sales reps that can actually go out and sell and aren't just lead runners. But, I don't think we'll get around that, but it's tough.
It's tough for sure. So, I like to be real in these conversations. We just released the podcast this week with Seamus with Panhandle Softwash. I recorded that one about a month ago. And, it's all these kind of turn into a Softwash Systems infomercial, because you're all Softwash Systems licensed affiliates. But Seamus's story is raw. He tried to grow. He tried to put multiple trucks on the road. He spent a lot of money, went into debt, crashed and burned. It was a tough story. And he's kind of just realized that his sweet spot is especially with having young kids at home and the lifestyle that he wants to have, be able to take off whenever he wants, and, and everything, that it's just better for him to be an owner operator. He doesn't mind going out and cleaning 3 days a week, selling 2 days a week. He's got a rhythm. He's starting to make good money and pay off his debts and everything. And it was tough, because he was swept up in. We have a definite model. And when you guys come on board, I do push you like you. I take you and I'm trying to mold you, and I'm trying to, get you to grow and teach you leadership and get you to expand your business. And he got caught up in a lot of that. It just didn't work for him. And so it was a Softwash Systems infomercial, but it was a story about somebody that didn't do that great with the typical Softwash Systems model, but still found their way. And you're still, honestly, trying to find your way. I mean, your company, now 9 years in, really, on Maverick Softwash, you still haven't gotten to the revenue level that you really want to be at or need to be at. You're not drawing the paycheck that you really should in your company. And you mentioned earlier, you're really focusing this year on self-improvement. And you already mentioned some of the failures that you had with Bosqui's and your dad and everything else was self-imposed because of some things that you weren't doing right back then. Tell me about the real raw truth about where you need to get personally and where you need to get this business here in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah. So Maverick is not doing what it should be. And it's 100% my fault. I spent years blaming everybody else. You know, before I sold Bosqui's, I spent years blaming my dad. You know, I spent, years blaming the market. But when you really sit down and you start looking at it, thinking about it, and I started looking in the mirror and I'm like, to be honest and truthful, I'd be drinking every day. And everybody that's going to watch this knows me. Like, I'll drink 90% of you under the table. And I still do. I still drink. I still enjoy it. Like, I go play golf and I drink beer. But I mean, I was at a point where I'd come home from the office and I would drink from the time I got home, if I didn't already start drinking before I left here. Okay. Until I went to bed.
No, you were the type of person you could put away a 24 pack by yourself.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
And, but the crazy thing is in my 20s, I'd do it and I'd get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go out and wash trucks or clean houses, clean roofs, whatever.
And you're not in your 20s anymore.
I'd stop on my way home, grab a case of beer, start drinking on the way home, drink in the shower, drink when I got out of the shower, get up at 6 and go back to work. Okay. Well, you're right. I'm going to be 40 in August. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. No.
That kicks my butt. And so, but what starts to happen is, I'm not putting the level of effort into Maverick. Okay. I wasn't putting the level of effort into Bosqui's. And it took a lot of self-reflection to figure that out. And I think a lot of it, and I was talking to you about this just a couple of weeks ago, but I think a lot of it is my 40th birthday is coming up. I don't care about that. Like, it's not oh my God, I'm going to be 40. Like, don't tell anybody. Like, I don't care. But at the same time, you're right. My life isn't where I want it to be. The company is not where I want it to be. And I had to look in the mirror and say, you know what? That's my fault. And I'm the only one to blame. It's not the employees I hired. It's not my father. It's not your fault. And you and Karen have poured into me till you're blue in the face. And I know sometimes you just want to reach through the phone and just do one of these and go, will you just listen? But now I am on this. I hired a personal trainer, so I'm trying to get back in shape. I used to just say rounds of shape and I'm in shape, but I can't get away with that anymore.
Yeah.
I started doing a coaching facilitator thing with Josh Latimer, called War Plan AI. I've poured a ton of my time, even though I don't have a ton of free time. I've dumped a ton of it. I haven't really done anything with it because I want it to be right. And I'm getting ready to launch that madnessly. But the reason I bring that up is not to be an infomercial for that either. But I bring that up because Josh said something in a coaching call that really hit me. And he said, it's crazy when you start coaching people that are 2 levels behind you.
Yeah. How
much it'll help you grow your own business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a law of human nature, because I can tell you this, I'm a church guy. I go to church. I'm a Christian. I try not to be a religious Christian. I try to be the Christian that people don't expect. But so I've noticed for myself that the time I grow the most spiritually and the time I read the Bible and really dig in and everything else is when I teach a class at church. And by me getting in front of others and leading others and teaching that class, it forces me to dig in and invest more into myself. And me teaching a class to others isn't really about helping them to grow. It helps me grow. And that's a human nature thing. It's a rule of nature thing. And that's what you're experiencing.
And me, and I love, just truly at the bottom of my soul and heart, love helping people.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dropped everything to come to a training event with you, or to help teach people, or to teach Top Guns, or, I'd fly across the country and then fly back to make it to a hockey game, or drive 20 hours straight through to get home to make sure I'm there for a sporting event for Jax or whatever. But I still want to be there to help people.
Yeah.
You know, I want to educate them. I want to help them. You know, I love pouring the stuff you've poured into me into others, you know. And so when the opportunity came of here's this thing that you can do, and it's not about being a guru, it's not about, you know, being some big guy. It's just there's somebody out there that's 2 levels behind you that you can help get to their next point.
Right.
You know, and I feel like I've got a ton of stuff up in my head that I can help people with, you know, and some of it may make sense, some of it may not. You know, it is what it is, and I'm not going to be the right fit for everybody. But by doing this, you know, I've learned a lot of new things. I've dumped a lot of this stuff into Maverick, and I'm really starting to push and take what I'm learning and taking what I'm teaching and pushing it into the business. And, you know, it's funny, but I do like this book, and it's called Steal Like an Artist.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's a lot of principles that you taught me over the years. And then I move, you know, I go to Howard, you know, or with McDonough, and I'm learning from them. And it's like, okay, those are similar principles that AC taught me, but they got a spin on them.
Yeah.
And now I'm over here in Josh's world. And it's like a lot of that stuff's the same stuff we learned. Some of that stuff's brand new, like digital AI, all that crap. Like, you know, I love that stuff, but that's all new that like, ooh, I got to dig deep in that. But it's a lot of the same principles. Yes. Just maybe with a different name on it, a different twist on it.
Yeah.
You know? And so you can teach this stuff and you can steal like an artist, but you give credit where credit's due.
That's right.
And, you know, so like when I tell somebody to go, you know, popcorn market, you know, hey, do what AC says and go popcorn market. You know, if you want to add a spin on it, you can do puddle jumping like Josh says, and you can add a Facebook campaign. You can add postcards that get mailed out. You can add other things. You can use this AI software to tell you where your customers are and where your pockets or puddles of customers are. So you can be more hyper targeted.
Yep. Yep.
So, but they're the same principles.
It is. It's a lot of the stuff is absolutely the same. So we're coming up to a hard break here, and but so you're really working on yourself and everything else, and you know what you need to do and all. But as you reflect back, what would you tell somebody else that's possibly looking at getting into business, starting their own business, and they're looking at doing it with Softwash systems? What would be your encouragement to them?
The thing I would say is get on model, follow the model, get that perfect. Okay. Get your systems in place, get the trucks in place, get the crews in place, do everything the way that it's taught, the way that we've taught it, the way that you're going to teach it or learn about it in the online academy. Get that perfect. Then we can have conversations about changing things.
Right.
If you follow the program that's laid out in front of you, that's taught to you, you will be successful. But it's not going to be easy. There ain't an easy thing about this business.
That's right.
But there's not an easy thing about any business. All business is hard. If it was easy, we'd all be doing it. Everybody would be doing it.
If it was easy, everybody would own a business. Yeah.
Everybody would.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's hard. It takes hard work. And even coming from me, like I went a lot of years without putting in the work. Like I skimmed by, and I had a comfort, and that was a paycheck coming from another business that I didn't have to work that hard. My wife makes a very good living. I don't have to work that hard, but I'm also not where I want to be in life. And so it's time for Garrett to start working harder. But it's hard. It's going to be hard. You're going to have highs. You're going to have lows. You know, keep your head down. Yeah. Keep pushing forward. Fail hard, failed fast, fail often, learn from the mistakes, track everything, use the scoreboards, use the systems that are there that Softwash systems will give you, and give it 18 months to 2 years and you'll be a success.
Well, there you go. Can't say it much better than that. And Garrett, I appreciate you so much being on the podcast and spending this time with us. Hey guys, listen, if you're looking to build a lifestyle business, you can certainly give us a call here at Softwash Systems. But it's all about building a business that helps you get to the next level in your life, gets you the lifestyle that you want, gets you the cash flow that you need in your life to be able to support your family and your life's goals and dreams and put you in a good position. All right. And you can do that with Softwash Systems. All right. So guys, this is AC Lockyer with Building a Lifestyle Business, and Garrett Bosqui with
Maverick Softwash and Softwash Systems.
Yeah. And I'll see you guys later. And as always, go forth and prosper.